really good practice. Guys really are starting to show they're getting their legs back, or might really even have them back. I thought they came out really crisp today, moved around quickly with a little different speed. And I think they should, because they've had 3 days off out of the last 6. And so that's some pretty good downtime to be able to recover. Still some issues we've got to fine tune that we've got to iron out in the next few days. But overall, I'm pleased with today's practice. Big Southern game plan day. It was a good day. Also, one announcement to make that Stephen Broccoli has decided to leave the team. I think he's going to transfer. And so today we've moved up Carlos Alvarez as probably the number 2 kicker, and Dylan Shurich as probably the number 3. And so we wish Stephen well and wish him the best in the future. And then obviously Hunter will get the kicking duties on Saturday. But overall, good practice. Hope to have a great week. Got to have a good week of preparation in order to obviously play well on Saturday. Any questions?
How ready are those other guys if you have to count on them?
Not very ready. Yeah, they've got a little work to do. And not saying they can't be. I think they would be really serviceable right now with kickoffs. They're pretty good right now kicking the ball off. I feel real comfortable with their kickoffs. They just hadn't had as much work kicking field goals. And it's just like a starting kicker, a starting quarterback. You know, your starting kicker, you got to get a little more work, because he hadn't been getting as much work as the starting quarterbacks. And so both those other guys will now get the reps that Stephen guided us to back up. So they'll get increased reps, and they'll get better as the season goes along.
Would you take anything away from Hunter just so he doesn't kick his leg out?
Well, he's kicking off and kicking field goals. He's not punting or anything like Brett Baer did. 3 years ago, Brett Baer did it all. So I think he can handle that part. The main thing you worry about a little bit now is Hunter, as you know, kickoffs, thinks of himself as what we call our missile, and so he don't need to stay healthy, and so we need him to do that. But one other thing too, Jacob Guidry has been awarded a scholarship, and so he's our starting holder and starting deep snapper, and so real proud to put Jacob on scholarship for this fall.
What do you do to? I mean, I know what he does, but what did he do to earn it?
Jacob?
Yeah.
Well, he's just our starting holder.
But I mean, what did he show? What terms of?
Well, I mean, he's going on his 4th year in the program. He's been here now going on 4 years, and man, he has stayed and worked hard. Last year he was a starting holder throughout the whole year, and now he's got the increased duties of long snapping as well as holding. So he's increased his role, and also that he's worked hard for 4 years as a walk-on and earned it.
Coach, how do you see the matchup on the field itself, as far as maybe some of the keys for you in this game, as far as the game without game plan stuff, just the matchup?
Well, I like to think we match up okay. I know the one thing, if you look at the football team, the strengths of their team, to me, is their running backs. I think they're deep there, and I think their running backs are very good. I think they've got a lot of depth at running back. So we're going to have to really tackle well. When you got a young quarterback, I would think that they're going to come in and try to really utilize those running backs too. I would think that they were going to try to get the ball out of the quarterback's hand quickly, and not put a lot of pressure on him, he's very mobile. So I think he can do all that. But anytime you have a young quarterback, first time to start a college game, I would put more pressure on my other guys maybe than him, and do things like sprint out passes, quick game, screen game, and then rely on a really good run game. I think their offensive line, they're big up front, and they've got a good running game. And I think they've got some very good receivers on the edge too. So I think they've got some really good offensive personnel. Defensively, got some new starters at some spots and some veterans back there. Their secondary, to me, has got one safety who I think is a hard hitter, physical player. And I'm hoping that the newfound depth that we have this year that we have not had in the past will hopefully play a role.
You touched on it a little bit there, but their defense, especially they got some veterans in that front 7 and their pass rush. How does that affect what you guys do, and does it make you maybe think about how you use Broadway a little bit more, not trying to get him hit?
Well, we're going to really do what we do, and cause we want to get our offense going. We want to play with great tempo, as always, and that's part of our game. And we feel like we've got a lot of veterans on the edge and in the backfield, and we want to get the ball to those guys and get everybody in the rhythm. And but it all starts up front. We want to establish the run, and that's no secret there. And then hopefully by doing that, we can be effective throwing the football.
Can you talk about your defense as a whole? Just kind of describe your defense. It seems like we always, every time we come up, we're talking Terrence or Elijah offense, but your defense as a whole.
You know, they don't probably get near as much attention as the offense, but we've got a lot of guys on that defense side of the ball that's been here for a long time. Justin Hamilton, Christian Ringo, those guys have played in a lot of games. Jake Mulbear, Trevance Pat, Sean Thomas, you know, and Dominique Tovell. You can go on and on. Some guys that have a lot of experience back there. I think our experience will pay off. I think our depth at the D-line will pay off. Not a lot of depth in the secondary, so we're going to need to stay healthy this year in the secondary as we develop some young talent this here now, but I don't think are quite ready.
Speaking of that defense, if I remember, well, obviously against Nicholls State, if I remember right, maybe that Lamar game too, like against FBS opponents like this is, they came up big with some turnover type plays. How big will that be to kind of set the tone for a lot of that this season?
Well, you know, that'll be critical for any team we play, is trying to create turnovers. I know our defense practices hard in our turnover circuit and creating turnovers during practice. I think we've got some guys that have some playmaking ability on the defense side of the ball, whether it's going up getting the ball at the highest point, or maybe it's knocking the ball out with a good tackle, or getting a good pass rush on the quarterback, some ways to create turnovers. And so hopefully we can continue to do that and create some turnovers.
Is it realistic to expect anything like that season when you had all the pick sixes, or was that?
You know, I don't know. That would be nice. Yeah. I don't know. You know, every season is different. Sometimes that ball just bounces your way and just happens to work out. But I'd love to have one like that again.
Looking at a game like this, especially with all the attention it draws in South Louisiana, what can it do for the momentum of your team to get started this season? Well,
you know, it would be nice to get off on the right foot, because, you know, last year we really didn't get started on the right foot. We had 2 games on the road, 2 tough opponents on the road. But nevertheless, regardless if you play them great and still come up short, you're still 0-2. You know, so we want to get off to a great start. It's important that we can build some momentum right out of the chutes. But you got to play well and execute to do that. I've won games before. We come off the field and, man, you're sick about it, because you know you still didn't play your best. You may have won, but you didn't really look crisp. You didn't execute at a high level, and you slopped yourself through the game. I don't want that to happen. I don't expect that. I think our kids are going to play extremely hard, and I think our seniors are extremely hungry to leave their mark on this program.
You mentioned there's a couple of specific guys playing extremely hard, but what do you think this game means to a couple of your players that do come from the Baton Rouge area and might have some extra incentive to go out there?
Well, I think those guys, they you know, some of our guys that are from Baton Rouge, like Terrence, he's been in enough games now where he demands a lot of himself every game, regardless of who we're playing. But you know, they know those guys, they know us, a lot of the family member, sibling rivalries, so they'll want to play well. And I just told our guys, you know, play hard, play between the whistles, and let's execute at a high level.
Coach, we always ask about Elijah and Alonzo. Those are your 2 guys. But you have some other running backs that are going to get some time. Just talk about the other guys that are going to contribute.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Torrey Pierce is I think, very effective. He's had a great camp. You know, the guy's not huge in stature, but he's a winner. And he's won in high school. He's won here. And we're just really proud. He's going to play tomorrow night or Saturday night. Then Efren Reed's had a really good camp. And Efren's got his role with our team. You know, last year he was a 3rd down back, 2-minute back, great in pass protections, and is really good in, you know, in that aspect of it. So those guys are going to play and have a good role in our team.
I heard you say today at practice to your DBs you want to be the most physical DBs in the country. They were hitting the sleds, doing a lot of that. So for the fans, were they going to see a little bit more of an aggressive defensive back?
You know, I hope so. I hope so. And the main thing I want to do is I want us to tackle. I want us to tackle, run through tackles, tackle with good fundamentals. And, you know, in the secondary, everybody says, well, you missed that open field tackle. And tackling is a little bit of teaching, but it's also a little bit of recruiting. And so tackling in a confined area is a lot easier than tackling in the open space. And so, but hopefully we can do a good job of getting in good position and getting people on the ground. There's no such thing as an ugly tackle as long as you get them on the ground.
Before the season starts, when you talk about your goals as a team, do you ever bring up to your team the new playoff system and talk about that one non-BCS spot that's out there? And
Yeah, well, this summer, before we started summer workouts, I just explained to them the entire new system. You know, I think it's important that everybody knows the new rules. We went through the new rule changes, we went through the new bowl structure, playoff structure. So I think it's important for everybody to know the direction that college football is going. And so obviously everybody's got their goals, and everybody talks about, you know, there's a possibility that a team from the Group 5 would have an opportunity. I think that record would have to be an undefeated record for a team to make it, regardless of who it is. But I can tell you right now, that's not on our minds right now. Our minds are beating Southern, and that's going to be a challenge in itself. You know, the guys know how to win. They just won the SWAC. They've won 9 out of their last 11 games, and so. You can't win the second one until you win the first one. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us. Then we've got a very tough La Tech team coming. It just don't get any easier. I'm just glad we're playing at home.